single member of your team for your dedicated public service, for everything that you do on behalf of our country every single day. I know this political environment is toxic and difficult, and it's not just difficult for you and your team, but it's difficult for your families as well. So I wanted to express my gratitude to you. And I also wanted to provide a very distinct and different perspective on what the state of Texas is doing from what one of my Texas colleagues just described. And the way that he described it is really troubling to me. Governor Greg Abbott, under the auspices of what a Republican colleague of mine just described as Texas defending itself, has actually created an incredibly hostile environment for my community of El Paso, Texas, and very likely other communities along the Texas-Mexico border. My constituents have seen significant property damage to their property as a result of reckless and dangerous high-speed chases. My constituents have been detained illegally under Operation Lone Star, and all of these constituents are U.S. citizens, by the way, who are Hispanic and who have been targeted by Operation Lone Star. Most recently, the Texas Attorney General has targeted a nonprofit in El Paso that has long been a partner to the federal government, a partner long before President Biden was in office, a partner to the federal government during former President Donald Trump's term in office, and long before that. And the Texas Attorney General has targeted that nonprofit, effectively trying to shut it down for being a partner to the federal government when it comes to migration. And you and I had a meeting a few months ago, and I shared with you some of my concerns, not just on these issues, but also with regard to Texas Senate Bill 4, which creates a whole new level of immigration enforcement at the state level, something that apparently my Republican colleagues are championing. Would you please share with us, with the committee and the American public, why it is really a terrible consequence for any state, whether it's Texas or any state, what the challenges are with a state deciding it's going to create its own immigration process?
Thank you. I'm going to follow my practice of sticking to what we've said in the public filings. So what I can say about SB 4 is we regard it as an unconstitutional act by the state. The Supreme Court has held that immigration, deportation questions are matters for the federal government under the Immigration and Naturalization Act and under the Constitution, that every state can't adopt its own views about deportation, that there are serious law enforcement risks of different law enforcement agencies operating in the same venues. But the important thing is that this is a question of the sovereignty of the United States and of the Constitution. So I can't say anything more, but this is in litigation, and we are doing our best to uphold the Supreme Court's precedent on this, and it's a relatively recent precedent.
Thank you, Mr. Garland. I also want to make sure to make you aware that we have gotten reports of some of the Texas National Guard shooting indiscriminately into crowds of migrants on the border, shooting plastic bullets. Want to make sure that you are aware of that, in addition to all the other issues that I've made you aware of that are occurring in El Paso. I see I'm out of time, but I will continue to communicate with you and your staff the egregious civil rights and human rights violations happening in my community at the hands of Operation Lone Star. Thank you. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back, and the gentleman from Texas made me think about our other Democrat member from Texas.